Yes, indeed, my friend, as we get into the bans, Thatcher will be the first one removed here on Clubhouse. As to be expected, he's our most banned operator on offense at this LAN, and Valkyrie being our most banned operator overall, but obviously on the defensive side of things. Floreds will be removed as our secondary offensive ban. Those Rotero drones will not be used. You will not be blowing things up for free today. First defensive ban, though, what is it going to be? It's going to be Mira. That one fairly straightforward.
Flores, once again, another operator that we've been seeing kind of climb the rankings on the ban percentage overall for attackers, just because, again, he's very, very useful for quickly dealing with large amounts of utility. For instance, like extended shields with a couple ADSs behind it. If you can sneak the drone behind the shield, well, you can say bye-bye to not only the shield, but also the ADSs and everything else supporting it as well. Much cleaner than trying to throw a dirty frag grenade in there. Maybe you get one, maybe you completely whiff it, maybe you get half of them. Doesn't always work out as well. So a bit more of a precise method for knocking out your opponent's utility. And in a worst case scenario, you can do soft breach too.
Absolutely. A big thing, though, we have to talk about is, well, Canadian's going to pick it. It's going to be Kaid. Kaid makes it to the ban phase again with that Valkyrie ban coming through. So that means he'll be utilized for most of our rounds. Obviously, you and I casted a Clubhouse earlier where he made it through as well. And we didn't really see him used often downstairs. But when it comes to the church arsenal space, you definitely can still apply him to this. So I'll hold on to some hatches for you and make sure that they're not as easily open. That's going to be up to Miracle to have to do that. And now, quite an interesting 6 pick, John. You want to carry us through this one?
I actually completely missed it.
Oh, well,
it's tunnel vision there.
No, you're fine, my friend. It's actually going to end up being, oh my goodness gracious, why is her name escaping me? Finka to Ash. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so that is going to be quite interesting, actually. But it makes sense kind of in the LATAM sense of things. We've been seeing a lot of LATAM teams specifically do that. No, again.
Yes, that's true.
I agree with you. From a utility perspective, doesn't make any sense. But from a comfort pick perspective, which oftentimes I think matters more for these types of teams, probably going to be okay there. Fantasy, I'm imagining, has quite a bit of playtime on this one, and once again, that's going to reignite quite a bit of soft breach potential that was missing from this lineup up until this point, so maybe can help it out, but again...
I'm a businessman, John. My other alias is Stonks. We can't get rid of something that's so unbelievably good to the offensive lineup, right? Right? Well, apparently, unless you're FURIA, but looks like they'd much rather have the G36C and some breaching rounds. We'll have to see how Fantasy wants to utilize this on the downstairs setup. It's not necessarily going to be amazing, especially with highs already in here. They'll be able to use the skeleton key to break up the kitchen hall flooring and make some angles in towards armory. But again, we could be naysayers here. We'll just have to see. Big thing is, as of right now, Miracle will begin breaking up this wall. And yes, indeed, folks, if you got some eagle eyes and you know what you're talking about, you'll recognize that this is indeed the Clubhouse roam, the SSG roam, for those of you that know it by that name. It'll be extended out here as Pambazoo will be holding on to the top of cash stairs. Hyper will be playing inside of Stocks, and NJR inside of Secret Stairwell.
Got the FURIA members starting to open up things, specifically on the second floor here. Ooh, trying to hunt out some of these early positions from DarkZero. Nearly seeing Pambazoo able to line up one shot of his own, and now Pambazoo getting lined up as well here. Gotta be careful with this transition, and a great bait. NJR is allowed to work himself out from inside of Stock after all the focus is on Panba over towards the red stairs as a result of that one. Players from FURIA, specifically Fantasy, are none the wiser, and that Ash might be regretting the 6-pick onto that now, as unfortunately didn't lead to too much success here.
Unfortunately enough for Fantasy, really no Ash Rush or anything.
I guess the good news is now, like, you don't have to worry about wasted utility because you don't even have it to begin with. So
I mean, technically speaking, you're still wasting utility because she had 2 breaching rounds. So, right? Right.
True.
Yeah.
Or likely those would have gotten gobbled up.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you kind of pick your poison here. I mean, still, I'm going to argue for Finka just because she's so damn prominent, at least right now in the meta. But obviously, FURIA, you have your own will, you have your own consciousness, you're your own human being. You can do whatever the hell you damn please. So, I mean, if that's what you see fit, that's what you see fit. Unfortunately enough for them, obviously, they're still going to be down that mana with such low time FURIA need to hop to, especially around the kitchen area. This hatch is still sealed, John, and this thing needs to be open. That's why Rare will be putting down the thermite charge.
Yep, Rare quickly popping that up. No resistance on it from DZ, so they have their point of access, but what they don't have is a whole lot of time here. 33 seconds remaining for FURIA to be able to work their way down into the basement and get that diffuser onto the ground here. At the moment, with a player disadvantage here, they can't just throw themselves at it willy-nilly and potentially give up even more lives. That makes it all that much easier for DarkZero to shut this one down. They're going to begin dumping their toxic bays onto the hatch to prevent access, but Rare finally confirms the first trade here. FURIA have it in, but again, not a lot of time to work it. Highs getting 2 kills on the way in. In the meanwhile here, the plant successfully down on the ground now as well. Where's the resistance from DarkZero? What was the plan to fend this off as FURIA get it done despite a massive disadvantage up until that point in the round? DarkZero give way too much respect over to the execute, and FURIA gets away with it.
I'll tell you why they're laughing. Things that shouldn't have happened. That. Thank you. 1 round up for FURIA after DarkZero have a stellar start, but I mean, it's more of a false start than anything. No one really able to actually collapse back in on the site. The utilities misused from DZ. They're really going to want that one back.
Absolutely will, and they're going to try to find it upstairs inside of not even the usual expected site here too. Normally we would see teams go over towards a CCTV and cache hold following up their basement, but it seems gym and bedroom is more in the cards here for DZ. So let's see if this site will yield better results for our defenders here, for our North American representatives in this matchup. Is FURIA getting away with a murder on a stolen round there? Once again, due to the fact that DarkZero seemingly just had no resistance to the site presence that was established by those first 2 picks there. Matrix falling apart very, very quickly. The trade setup seemingly non-existent for DZ, so not able to control the chaos as FURIA began to work their way in.
Well, now an extended hold out here for DarkZero as Pambazoo will begin setting up the garage. This is going to be quite interesting here, actually. He's going to set up both of the garage panels as well as the 2 cache panels as well. The traditional way of doing this, folks, is actually the panels out towards CCTV, or they'll reinforce them over towards cache stairs sometimes. Those are usually what we end up seeing, and thank you, medics, for that. I greatly appreciate it. One of the best observers in the game, folks. Round of applause for him as always. DarkZero will be setting things up over on the cache side with that extended hold out towards the cache stairs. This is one that they started to adopt a little later on once Club started to get a little, straightforward. They're like, what else can we do with this space? Oh, I think we can put a deployable shield here, put some ADSs around that, and yeah, that's going to work out for us. So that seemingly will work out for DarkZero as well.
DarkZero now lining themselves up once again to try and be successful in this hole, to try and waste out a large majority of this time. Bank no reinforcements, as we can see over here on the primary CCTV balcony. We're going to see, of course, the extra reinforcements going down onto the construction wall. They want to make that a little bit harder to access here, even out Electric Clawed as well. But as you guys can see, that's not too much of a problem for our friend with the blowtorch. Maverick can work right through that and can ignore all forms of wall denial that have been placed here. They even do get the spot from a drone onto the position of the Electric Claws. They're just going to prime a nade real quick, chuck it in. That should knock it out. There you go. And now it's a very easy job for Rare to throw in his Exo and open up this wall. Oh, never mind. They got a little bit too late on that one as a second Electric Claw was thrown out there. Second A, though, can follow this one back up, and as long as it wasn't thrown in like a weird spot. Oh, it actually went, did it? Oh, there's a hole into garage, and it went, or into a bathroom, excuse me, and it went right through that. So that's unfortunate, as I don't think they can get that wall open now.
No, they can't. Hold on, let's look into this.
They still have more nades. They actually do have 6 nades.
Wouldn't you know, Fantasy's back on our main man, or main woman, actually. Finka on the offense as well, so looks like they're going to have to use the torch instead to be able to get this open, as they don't want to rotate the other nades across. They did end up bringing 6 in this scenario, but since Maverick is out and they want to hold the other angles across the board without rotating someone, it's what they'll have to do. We'll be able to make a hole in here, but this should be fairly straightforward for the DZ members to be able to hold on to. But past that, this could be a pretty damning round overall, as we start to see some pretty interesting utility usage. The frag grenade will come out towards Hyper's location as Rare starting to take some heat. Highs will be able to clean up Hyper, and oh my god, the kills just coming through in such grandiose fashion. It's now to 1v3 in favor of FURIA. It's all left up to Pambazoo, and what can he do? Well, he can do that initially here. It'll be a double kill for him as Linda's setting this plant down. He needs to find Highs or something. Well, Highs will find him instead. What a round there from FURIA, but what a clash of titans inside of that.
Absolutely the case. Once again, we see a huge surprise for FURIA, as they seemingly from a utility perspective are locked out of the site entirely, but from the kills department, they have no trouble whatsoever bullying their their way into the site as we saw a massive spree of kills, and from I believe what was a 3v3 at that point forward, FURIA dominated, taking complete control yet again of another hold here from DarkZero and forcing them back down into the depths of the basement to try and find success on their third.
Well, FURIA are just keeping a lot of their options open right now. That's the big thing that I've noticed about LATAM teams in general at this LAN, is that they tend to keep a lot of the different avenues that you can affect different people across the map at least open to them, where they can possibly push in at a proper moment and find a kill, like what we saw on Hyper, where it's like, okay, everyone's across the map, Hyper's getting pressure from the top side, the nade comes in, I'm just going to walk to the bottom of red, and oh, wouldn't you know it, he's out from behind his deployable shield and a freebie. Things like that really work well for these teams. It's working well for FURIA right now in the current moment. DarkZero don't feel like running things back. They feel like doing this extended hold again all the way upstairs. It worked really well for them. I will say this though, FURIA obviously having the cutoff. Fantasy just losing his gunfight the last time, but with that 100 rounder, I don't know how this one's going to go. Oh, he's got the spear instead. I'm sorry.
Nope, all good. It's going to be up in the air regardless, however, as FURIA once again have been winning primarily through the advances of their fragging capability. And you can see it here. Lenda yet to die as of yet here. Highs at 4-1. Rest of the team as well here with at least one kill to write home about. Can't say the same for DarkZero. While some players have been able to hold off a bit of the pressure, unfortunately, it doesn't seem as cohesive as it appeared back on our previous map here, as a huge swaths of the DarkZero setup are getting eliminated. Okay, this is going to be interesting. A hot drop coming in here from Fantasy, but no one on the other side of it, so it's going to be a bit anticlimactic at the end of the day, as no one will be there for the response. However, NJR is on the outside of Logi, ready to fend off the challenge, and NJR sees the tracers, doesn't expect them to change direction, though. It ends up eating a whole lot of bullets as a result of that. The Nitro as well, swing and a miss here, doing virtually 0 damage to Fantasy.
I think that this is just the time for DarkZero to try and level up. They really got to take it to FURIA in this, as FURIA once again, it's high-octane gameplay. They'll take down NJR, they'll take down Hyper, and they'll take down Canadian. It's a double for Fantasy, a triple for Fantasy, and he can pick himself up too. Pop your utility, Fantasy. He's waiting on the cooldown right now, and he'll finally get it done. Bambazoo will clean up one, as this extended hold has been completely obliterated from the LATAM team.
But finally, there's no guarantee for success. There's not even any guarantee that those players would even be able to access those particular flanks here in any given situation. So it is going to be a bit of a risky strategy to rely on if DarkZero can make it work. And even then, that's replicating a lot of success off of just 1 to 2 players here. So something else may need to come through here for the DZ team to finally get their footing inside of this second map of the series.
It's Goyo to Mozzie here for Canadian on the top floor defense as we start things off for the prep phase of round 4. They will indeed have some wall denial, but only in the likes of Eclipse, so be paying very close attention to where they choose to put these electro claws. It looks like they'll more than likely be going around the garage space, as we would expect normally, but that also means that the main CCTV wall is easy pickings for Rare to open up, and since Canadian did not adopt Goyo into the lineup and chose to actually use Mozzie instead with his pests, they won't have those extra Goyo shields to be able to utilize and actually delay any time or be able to hold themselves around any space here for CCTV. Eclipse will be given the terrible job of playing rafters, as this is usually the hot spot for not only grenades, but most of the offensive utility as they try to kill you off and go for a defensive, or rather a default plan inside of CCTV.
So for the members of FURIA, they're going to start their setup once again for the initial clear. A bit more of an arduous process this time. We won't be able to directly go in and find any opposing players from DarkZero in the open, and more importantly, out and about from the site. We do have a very site-centric setup once again here, but that hasn't stopped FURIA in the past. Already seeing Rare use the first EXO to open up access to the main balcony. Step 1 accomplished. Now we need to focus up on an area more than likely like garage or construction to finish up Step 2. Step 3 will be getting into the site, however.
Well, now for FURIA, begin propelling themselves through round 4 here. Both of the walls electrified downstairs, or at least one of them. They will leave the far panel soft down low, so Eclipse will have to be worried about fending that off for a time. Canadian setting up a window for a hop out over towards the balcony space for Master as well. Highs looking like he wants to go down towards dirt, and he'll do exactly that. This is pretty rudimentary, as you can usually push in through here and come up secret and catch somebody off guard, but finally DarkZero starting off on the right foot yet again here, and Pambazoo seemingly aware. Hyper will get one as well, and this is the aggression I wanted to see, John.
One-sided rounds
into FURIA in the moment. They know what they want to do with the map. They know how aggressive they've been, and well, they're going to bag 3 kills inside of the opening minute and a half.
Once again, another spree of frags coming out for one team and one team only here. It was all FURIA in the last round. This time it's all DZ here, bringing it back to a 5v2 less than 2 minutes into the round. Another nice nade getting chucked up from below, a bit of a blind one too. He had the tracers to play off it, but still had to follow through the reaction from Hyper, and nearly gets him as he sits at about 5 HP now after that nade was chucked out.
Yeah, Hyper feeling the pain on that one. Lenda, though, taking a little heat himself, but really only about a bullet's worth. Is Canadian aware of the situation?
Yes.
Oh, he is glaringly aware of the situation. Lenda gets bodied. It's down to Rare outside. And can Canadian get 2? It's actually Pambazoo. Don't know my silhouettes. I need to be a better commentator, as he'll take him down outside of the Master Bauk.
A flawless round from DZ, a huge change up from what we were seeing in the previous 3 rounds. Now time to see if this team can replicate it here, as they're still down, but certainly not out inside of this map as they look for a 2-0 victory. FURIA, though, already with half the rounds taking control of here in this half. It is at best going to be a tie game for DarkZero here. That's assuming they can find the same degree of success on their other sites as well, as that was only the first time they played in a CCTV and cache. The options will be a bit more open-ended for FURIA as we return to areas like the basement and more than likely the second floor gym hold for the final round.
Oh, Rare going to be bringing in Osa as well. Canadian switching out to Warden. And as we've been talking about this DarkZero team, Canadian has been that guy when it comes to the constant switching of ops inside of the lineup. He is the variable to the remaining team's constant, and he really likes this role. He's done this time and time again over the years, did it all the way back in the day with Evil Geniuses, and still does it now to this day with DarkZero.
So we have an update from the Alpha Stream game. Folks, if you want to save it for yourself for later, go ahead and mute. We'll give you a second or two.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Elevate!
Ooh.
Scrimming in Ranked
What?
has pulled up a massive upset versus TSM. 2-0 over them as they take that series.
Get the out of here. I'm just gonna self-bleep myself here. That was what? I was honestly very surprised when you said that. I thought they would be going to the full distance, but either way, we'll get off the subject so you guys can unmute those browsers. And well, now that you guys are back, welcome to it. Miracle. We'll be getting our drone, or rather camera, inside of Garage initially here, as they'll be getting begin clearing out this bottom space. Fantasy now with the drone as well in tow, so droning out not only stock, but also making sure that no one's around the secret stairwell. As of right now, all of the DZ members all the way downstairs. Eclipse will be playing inside of Dirt with Pambazoo and Canadian inside of the main space here for Armory, but Pambazoo's going to fall off. Hyper, one of the more important pieces to the puzzle inside of this one, playing inside of Blue. FURIA will now begin breaking up the top floor, as we're also very accustomed to. Highs working on this kitchen hall space, and that's exactly how you want to see the buck applied.
Fantasy potentially going to get himself the early duel here behind the big white box in Blue Room. Doesn't seem as though Hyper wants to really take the challenge this early on, though, and neither does Fantasy, so he'll wait this one out on the Nook. Opens up an opportunity to push back through the oil pit. At the same time, not really ready to descend into that just yet either. It's going to be a lot of build-up, a lot of posturing, as has become the case here on the previous few rounds here, in the previous holds in the basement as well here. FURIA want to try and gather as much intel as possible before leaping in and more than likely giving it their all. As once again, we already seen in previous rounds. Fantasy actually does end up challenging down the blue stairs there, and he's going to pay a hefty price for it. Over half of his HP now gone. Hyper, more than likely, throwing in that damage from behind the box.
Big question for me right now is, where exactly is Rare? I haven't seen him inside of the round. What is this guy up to? Oh, here he is. He's over here inside of the bar space, as they'll be able to get the Moto hatch open, and NJR will go down, but not before his Nitro Cell goes off. It takes out Lenda. Frag grenade out, should be able to clean up NJR, but it actually won't. This gives Pambazoo an opportunity to pick him up if he so chooses. Hyper could obviously hold onto the door as well. No more frag grenades here, but can they get him up? Doesn't seemingly want to do so as of right now. Fantasy will find one. Actually, Fantasy will find two. He got that earlier pick up, and actually, no, he actually shot through the wall and I believe dusted 2 people with a couple of bullets. NJR still down. I thought that was a body that he collected, but it's up to Canadian and Eclipse now to try and fend off FURIA.
Canadian playing with fire here as he transitions back to the inside of blue. Still going to have to deal with the swing from Fantasy. Takes him down as well. It's a triple kill now from Fantasy. Doesn't even matter that he's at null HP. However, finally Eclipse going to be able to pepper that out, and more importantly, drops a second player also. Lenda finally finishing off NJR. Finally leaves Eclipse alone, and mid-reload, Rare will finish off the round. That's number 4 on the attacking side of this map. Now up and confirmed for FURIA.
How does Fantasy get away with so much right there? Well, I can tell you how it initially started. Obviously, the help presence device getting him very deep inside of blue, unbeknownst to poor Hyper, who's just sitting in the corner, and all of a sudden a masked figure comes out from the shadows and grabs him. And, well, I really want to know where that secondary frag came from. I really do believe that he just ended up banging the wall behind him and finding that kill. This is very unfortunate for DarkZero, as the setup was looking pretty crispy initially, but FURIA obviously having some other things in the cards for them. We really didn't get to see what Osa would have done overall for that setup either, so a little unfortunate at the end of the day, but either way, if you're rooting for the LATAM team, you got to be excited about this scoreline. 4-1 on the offensive side.
Yosa coming in once again for Rare, as they're going to try and use those shields to negotiate further positioning closer to the site. Might not even really need it, to be honest with you, with the way that FURIA was able to clear out this setup last time. We'll see if they can replicate the same degree of success, however, considering that DarkZero has hopefully learned their lesson from the last play, but at the same time, thought the same thing about Basement, and that turned out not to be the case again, as once more a third win is found there for FURIA, and they continue to excel here at a 4-1 lead, potentially 5-1, if they can find this site for a second time as well. DarkZero, though, at 4-2, that would give them a semi-palatable scoreline if they're going to be able to bring a strong enough attacking side to come back into this one and still keep their 2-0 dreams alive.
Well, it all starts right here, John. They really need this defensive round right now, because if FURIA gets this, I really don't know what the argument is. I mean, DarkZero has a really long road ahead of them on the offensive side, and it's all going to be with minimal mistakes. So as of now, FURIA out and onto the board. We'll see exactly what they want to do. Heis will be starting us off in a very similar way as he skeleton keys down the master door. Fantasy looking to see if he can possibly sneak one past anybody inside of this space. He'll pre-fire the cash wall, but nothing really going on.
Fantasy still hunting for early targets here. No one on DarkZero presenting themselves. The Claymore does go down to fend off any would-be jump-outers. Now he'll be able to keep watch in case there's going to be any aggression. We normally see a shot or two coming in towards that corner from a player in DarkZero who might have decided to hold on the inside of the CCTV area, but not going to find any this time around. Looking like DarkZero have stuck away from that and are holding at most just the cash room here. And meanwhile, of course, Miracle should have no problem whatsoever getting this wall open nice and quick here to give the team access to the jacuzzi balcony door.
Miracle continue to torch this up. As he'll finish that up, the right-hand side will be soft, and Heis will open it with the skeleton key, and a pretty quick shot fashion as he continues to break that up. Stuns into waits now to see if there's any ADSs inside of that space, and clearly not as of right now. Miracle open the top of the bathroom wall as well, and this is going to be a prime time for frag grenades to begin pouring through. No nitro cell inside of the bathroom either to be able to toss back out and on to some unbeknownst offenders, so it's just going to be FURIA working that space for some time. Miracle is going to shift across over towards the master balcony and try and play this out with Fantasy, who will hop back up here as they're starting to look for a potential plant spot.
Oh, clutch with the Osa shield coming down here, saving Rare in this situation, but the impact very quickly deals with that position here. However, he's got a second one, so he's going to be able to throw that one down without too much of an issue. Still taking a little bit more heat. Now going to go for the plant situation, but at the same time, yeah, you had one impact. You had to expect there to be a second one, but still an opportunity to maybe get Rare back into this. Lenda will be lost due to Hyper's position. He'll move in to take out Fantasy. Highs down as well. A Nitro to eliminate Rare. Miracle trying to turn this back around as FURIA are down to only 2 this time. It's DarkZero finally with a player advantage, and they just need to take out Miracle, excuse me, as well as Lenda to be able to shut down this round here. DarkZero once again, so much powerful position to play from, but it's Miracle trying to catch at least one player in the bathroom. No, Lenda gives himself away, and so does Miracle. And with that, DarkZero shut down another round for themselves and make it a 4-2 half.
Look to the far side of that DZ bench and thank the man, damn it, because without Eclipse there, I really don't know how that ended up breaking down for them, but luckily enough, it'll be 2 rounds for DZ going into the offensive side. This is doable at the end of the day, but it's still going to require a Herculean effort from the entirety of the DZ team. For FURIA, should be cool, calm, and collected coming into this. Very happy that they were able to secure their multitude of rounds on the offensive half here on Clubhouse. This will be starting us off with a gym bedroom defense.
Gym bedroom going to be an interesting choice for the starting site once again for FURIA. Again, not the expected start, but given the wild way that FURIA has been playing into this map so far, it won't be too surprising to see them go for it, as it gives them quite a bit of freedom to take early fights, to challenge the early positions from DarkZero, even after just getting access to things like the jacuzzi wall or pushing in from the construction single-piece wall, things like that as well. FURIA can get directly in the way of that and stop DarkZero from getting any momentum going for themselves. This may favor the FURIA formula perfectly, considering the way that they've been playing this map up until this point. Unable, of course, to translate that 5th round, but that's okay, seeing as they got 4 attacking rounds here on Clubhouse. Certainly something that is going to force respect out of DarkZero, as they now need to be careful to make sure they don't fall even further behind and force out the 3rd map of this series.
Well, it's going to be an extended setup here for FURIA, very similar to how DarkZero enjoyed handling this entire setup. We'll have a shield at the top of Cash, make it 2, as we'll have some ADSs inside of the space as well, and more than likely Lenda's initial discs going around this area as well, so he'll be able to collect more of those magnets going throughout the rest of this, as it'll be on a timer. Look over the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see that number on Lenda's little profile there, slowly ticking up, and then also keep track of what he has inside of his pocket as well in the current moment. So he'll toss that one. Doesn't really hit its mark, but here in a second he'll have 2 instead. About 30 seconds here now for DarkZero as they begin to open things up here for their offensive side of Clubhouse.
Opening things up quite literally here, as Eclipse is going to be working on a quick opening of the jacuzzi balcony. Left panel gone, and now the right one will be the focal point. If you want full access to it, it would seem here, able to make their clear that much easier. The soft panel's already taken care of 2. Eclipse just wants to make a slightly larger hole so that he can chuck a nade into the depths of the bathroom and drain out any support that might be sitting in there. Oh, that's unfortunate. It goes right into the shower and right into a position where it's not going to be able to deal with the Goyo shield.
Well, FURIA is starting to back off as the calls begin to come out from Miracle over inside of this space. Don't necessarily know if this is a full commitment here from DZ here, at least for FURIA's sake, as Eclipse will finish up the wall. Entire wall now down, and Canadian with a pretty cheeky air jab here to be able to assist them with anyone trying to run amok up that main stairs space. Now NJR down low here will be holding onto the bar area. This is beginning to look more and more like a weights plant. Now what is FURIA's reaction going to be? Oh, this is a prime nade here. Be able to deal some serious damage to Lenda. Unfortunately enough for NJR, it won't secure the frag, but it'll only be 1 bullet's worth to be able to pick him up later on.
Yeah, Lenda gonna have to tuck away in a corner now and hope he can line up some headshots here. That'll be his only hope for trying to pick up kills in an even 1v1 exchange, assuming he even gets that opportunity. Fantasy now ready to challenge some of the action working its way into the site, but it's gonna be rare to strike first. You're catching NJR down in his position over towards Bar. Fantasy does the same. Rare tries to turn tail from his fight, but will get caught by Hyper. Unfortunately, though, him along with Canadian going to be the only 2 left for this attacking side. As although, yes, we see the elimination of Rare, it's not going to mean a whole lot here if the team can't follow it through. Miracle, an easy catch against Hyper as he's caught clearing barbed wire. And Canadian now off on an island, left alone, and not even on the right floor as of yet. Still has to reascend up the main stairs here. Chucks the flash in to hopefully blind out anyone that might challenge here, and he continues to just press right forward. The confidence is certainly something that needs to be respected here by FURIA as he moves forward. Actually misses the pickup on the kit, but don't think he's going to be playing too heftily for that at this point either. Tries to take the duels. Lenda will shut him down on the first one he takes, and this first round of the second half goes right into the pocket of FURIA as they now go up 5-2.
That was just not the round for DZ that they were hoping for. A 5-2 lead now for FURIA as they get their very first defense on the board early here. CCTV cache to hopefully put them up and onto map point. And now you just got to start questioning what DZ's exact idea was coming into this clubhouse. If you look towards the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see this is indeed DarkZero's map pick, folks. Don't let the score line fool you. Clips will be adopting the case here, as well as Maverick for this lineup. No 6 picks coming in just yet, but as soon as I say that, Canadian will dash those words away from me, and it'll be Ace instead coming in for the triple hard breach lineup.
Let's see if that's going to be enough for DarkZero to not only get them into the site, but get the kills necessary to knock out FURIA as well. These guys have been fragging their hearts out, specifically Fantasy, at 10 and 5 right now, already into double digits. Well over the 1 KPR at this point here. While other members of DarkZero, Panba having himself a good game. But a lot of the others have fallen off in a big way and only just barely holding on here, keeping up with the trades at a bare maximum. It's not doing enough to push it over the edge. Allow for DarkZero to take these rounds outright here. Swiss cheese on the wall. Once again, that's just going to slow down the clear that would normally be coming in from the Maverick. Makes it a bit more of a arduous process to get the clean line across, and bleeds out an extra 5 or 10 seconds or so, as our Maverick will have to correct their mistakes should they be going for that. But triple hard breach might find other methods to open this up, especially if they can get access to the stock lobby down below there. Just chuck a nade from down below. They can also take out the mute jammer, but however, Lenda is not going to be able to take out anything at all here. Panba immediately catches him as we see Lenda try to throw out some shots to that doorway, but instead it's the shots thrown at him that eliminate him under these circumstances. Bring it down to a 5v4.
Oh no, the door shoots back. Tends to happen to the best of us, and it'll happen here to Lenda. The wall will be immediately opened as they're going to put it top right of the panel. That's super, super smart there from DZ, knowing that that mute jammer cannot cover that entire wall any longer. Pambazoo also going to blow the back end, and this is exactly why DarkZero has brought so much hard breach. She can apply to both of these spaces. They can still get control down low, and they still have nades on deck with Eclipse as well, and that torch if things go so very wrong that they would need him with like somebody getting picked off or something like that. And that's exactly why they have Hyper inside the lineup with the extended soft breach as well. You don't want NJR to walk up and sledge the wall when you're trying to open up CCTV or something like that. That's where things get pretty risky and you can end up losing your sledge. You much rather do it at range with something like the Lifeline. And speaking of life, Miracles lost his, and so has Hyper, as Fantasy will propel himself out of the breach onto Plat and remove him from existence.
3v4 now, lined up against the members of FURIA, and it gets even worse. Panba waltzes right into Garage and makes it a 4v2 by eliminating Fantasy. Rare down below, Highs up on top. Each player needs to be responsible for a floor for each of them. So DarkZero, the nade's going in, and okay, never mind. It's just Rare alive now as another nade strikes true from down below and leaves only our lower players still in the fight with well over a minute to go as well.
He could do quite a bit.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Just gonna do nothing.
Yeah. Little bit of nothing there. But, you know, it is what it is. Fortunately enough for DarkZero, they're going to be able to stave off FURIA from getting onto match point. That'll be their 3rd round as they're starting to collect these. Able to at least get one as of right now. And where does the defense want to go after that pretty lackluster CCTV defense? They're going to head into Church Arsenal instead. Downstairs they go. Kaid will be picked up into the lineup again. Mute will also be here as well for some extra wall denial. Pambazoo's going to 6-pick off onto Ace. Might be switching that out here in just a moment as he's flickering back and forth, but Highs with the 6 picks onto the Kaid here to see if that can possibly hold on to these hatches up against Eclipse's torch.
So basement in the cards here for our Latin American roster. Very fitting roster to bring to the table for Fantasy. Along with Lenda, we've gone for the max drone denial here, as both the Mozzie and the Mute will be brought in to accomplish that. Cade can reinforce the hatches as well as the church wall also. And once again, your other forms of usual delay from the Banshees on top of Miracle, still bringing in those smoke charges for the final 30 seconds or so. Attacking roster still brings plenty of hard breach also between the Ace as well as our Maverick to assist with the opening up of those hatches, and eventually, if time should allow, the access to the church wall, should that be DarkZero's path forward. Haven't necessarily seen that be the method used, however, so hold our breath on that one and see if that's going to be the case when we get a bit deeper into the round. Actually, it looks like at least one of the Electric Claws is going to be used to support the extended position, as they're going to play into the SSG roam upstairs here. Jacuzzi balcony being electrified, so unless we see DarkZero wanting to commit a lot of utility towards that to clear it out, FURIA will have quite a bit of an extension here to waste all the time of DZ.
Yes, indeed. As the clear begins now for these members, we'll see if Hyper can find some extra intel here for DZ. Still a pretty straightforward setup, all things considered, when it comes to the basement overall. They'll have to worry about what's going on this top floor. Canadian will lock up the window so no one can try and hop out, and he's actually locked up the entirety of this garage. So do have some access, obviously, to Oil Pit now for the offenders, and FURIA can try and fend it off, possibly from the window if they do just stand up into it, but you definitely do not want to hop out. That's going to be the first minute burnt up here for DZ, as Miracle's on a pretty cheeky angle here outside that tends to be utilized pretty well, but oh, he won't be able to find the shots. He's looking for the head, but Canadian's going to make it out. Luckily enough for him, as Miracle did have the angle, but the hollow just a little difficult to use at that extended range, and JR takes down Fantasy as he tries to rotate back towards main stairs.
DarkZero getting a lot better at punishing this aggression from FURIA here on the attacking side. Now the drone intel helping them out tremendously to be able to spot out these players and more appropriately line up some of these early kills for themselves, and more importantly catch the rotations that we just saw Fantasy attempt to make here. Rest of FURIA's extended play no longer valid because of the loss of that player. It's too big of a risk to keep the rest of these guys out on an island, especially by themselves, since Fantasy can no longer support from the first floor. So everybody falls back to the basement, and we'll just wait out the remaining minute and a half here. Plenty of time still used by DarkZero, so FURIA will still be somewhat happy with the result of that, even though they lost a player.
Yes, indeed, as NGR begins droning out the kitchen space, and Eclipse with a beautiful find. Didn't even need the insight for that one. He'll just do it all himself. But oh, Eclipse from the death will be able to take him down. Hyper also with a beautiful frag, and it's all left up to Highs. DarkZero starting to put these rounds together.
High's continuing to wait this out, just holding the pixel angle against the Oil Pit push. He knows it's going to come eventually. That's his probably best bet to get a surefire opening kill here against the 1v4 and be able to start the leverage to work himself back into this round. But okay, a bit more adventurous, but it walks right into the waiting arms of Hyper. Start twisting the tile back in the other direction a little bit here. We'll have to see, of course, like I said, still plenty of data to sort through before we start making judgments like that. But let's focus back up once again for the rest of this match here. DarkZero still on the comeback train after dropping the first half on the defensive side 2-4. They're only one round away from tying it up again against FURIA at 5-5 as they're going to go for their CCTV cash hold.
Yes, indeed, my friend. We'll have to see what Ubisoft wants to do with this in the future, but as of right now, I definitely say things are a little spicy when it comes to the offensive side, but we'll just leave it at that. You guys can make your own assumptions at home and how you feel about things. So now for FURIA, let's see if they can finally get this 6th round they've been looking for so desperately. Looking to see if they can do it on the CCTV defense. They have some electro claws inside of this as well to be able to lock up at least 2 walls here, whether it be some panels down low or the CCTV wall or both panels. We really don't know just yet. We'll have to see. It looks like they're not too worried about the CCTV area. They're actually going to end up locking up the single panel for construction, and I'd assume that the other one, oh, it's actually in Rare's hand. He's going to wait for Pambazoo to try and put this down. I think that the timing's going to be pretty close here, but obviously Pambazoo can hear that Electroclaw go down as well, so they're just going to take their time with this one, and obviously they've got the nuclear option, which is Eclipse and his torch, and, well, everybody and their brother is used to torching this wall.
Alright, so let's see if DarkZero can continue to field the success we've been seeing from them over the past few rounds. Shouldn't be too much of an issue to get past most of this utility that's been set up by FURIA. There we go. First Goyo shield down with a nice little frag grenade chucked in. No supporting supporting it, I should say, to hold that back. Eclipse as well at some point in the next few minutes here. It's a good idea of how you can see how the Swiss cheesing of the wall kind of messes things up. For Eclipse, it's just making him go back, double if not triple check things. There's like a small chance you'd occasionally see him have to go back to a point that's overexposed as well, so that Swiss cheesing does, on very rare occasions, present an opportunity where a defender might actually be able to take out the Maverick through it as well, but most of our tier 1 pro-level Mavericks are not going to make a slip-up like that. They'll be very, very cautious in a worst-case scenario there about how they have to proceed to go back in and reopen that should they need it.
Well, Hyper will begin adopting the Raptors angle all the way out here. Unfortunately enough for him, he's got the 2.0 scope as well. Canadian pre-firing into Raptors as the Selma charge will eat up that wall and now make Raptors even more difficult to play for our Garage player. Now Hyper back onto the drone here to find some extra intel. He'll see that Banshee on the center building or center shelving unit there for CCTV. It's Lenda currently inside of Garage as he'll continue to add magnets to the equation. The Clips will obviously start torching that wall down low so they can work their way into this space as well. But it's actually already been done. Pambazoo's got that. And oh, it's going to be an immediate trade here as Fantasy. He's going to actually end up taking down two. They've gotten Lenda, and now it's a 3 versus 3. Masterfully done here from NJR to equalize, but very low time now for DarkZero.
It's been the toughest part about these plays here for FURIA is the trades are so strong from DarkZero. The setups are great, but thankfully able to get 2 going that time, so it serves to even out the numbers, accounting for the earlier pick that was found from DZ. Oh man, Miracle ends up walking right into that one as well. NJR didn't even have the plot read appropriately, but now with 12 seconds left, FURIA can still leverage their time here. A Nitro cell available for Rare, but he needs to get in position to use it. He might not have even heard the plant set. Out goes the Nitro though, and it's going to take down 2 players as well, allowing him to also get the 3rd with a quick follow-up on his rifle. Beautifully done by Rare, as another point's going to go up on the board here, pushing it to map point now for FURIA.
It's like they forgot about who was still alive. No one accounting for Kaid inside of that situation, and so the Nitro cell gets so much done. A double kill, no less, as well as a beautiful shot out of the AUG to end us off here as he'll take down Hyper. And finally, that 6 point comes through here for FURIA as they guarantee overtime for us here on Clubhouse.
Basement's in the cards for FURIA as well, returning to a site where, I'll be honest, they've struggled again to yield success due to the clearing potential from DarkZero, the positionings they've been able to maintain, and FURIA's inability to cool off here and avoid taking these early peaks here, which has given DarkZero time after time again the opportunities needed to knock out some of these early defenders that want to play the aggressive game. FURIA, let's see if they'll cool it off or double down here as they try to close out this map and send us to our 3rd and final one over on Oregon.
Well, now for FURIA, it's going to be the basement defense here, so let's get into it and see how they want to try and hold this down. We'll have Rare sticking to the Electro Claws of Kaid for at least a hatch and some walls to see what he exactly wants to do with those. But past that, the big one standing out to me has got to be Alibi here from Highs and what we can possibly see out of these Prismas. They're just pretty annoying to deal with at the end of the day, especially if you try to pre-fire around corners and you end up tagging one. Well, it also tags you and you get some free information back onto the offense for that. She's pretty cheeky. I've loved this op for a really, really long time. Honestly, ever since the release. I thought the MX4 Storm was slept on, and then so did everybody else, and they started using it, and then they nerfed my gun, John. Wouldn't you know that?
Fortunate.
Yeah, real sad, because that thing was such a fantastic gun for a very, very long time. Still is, but just requires some extra sauce in order to use it.
All right, so well into the round we go here. You can see FURIA a little bit more timid this time to maintain any position outside of the basement itself here. Lenda being the prime example of that one, only just barely peeked over the top of the 1st floor landing for main stairs here to maybe, just maybe catch a bit of a haphazard clear from DarkZero that can be abused. Not going to end up happening more than likely, though. You can see the drones buzzing around there for both Panba and Canadian, which will clear out this position fairly quickly. Away from that, though, we are going to see a bit of an extension out from Miracle there down towards Dirt Tunnel, but that will probably only become relevant if DarkZero need to go for a clear in that area, which they haven't done previously, and I don't believe they're going to bring into the play now.
Well, drone to get Hyper into the actual space for Secret. Can't really push himself forward any farther, though, as, well, exactly what he's staring at. That Banshee will be the call sign if he's able to do anything. Concussion out to make sure that there's nothing to be able to catch this, and an impact to get rid of the actual Banshee, so he has the option open later on for the push. He'll continue to hold on to the cross and check some drones. Not his own, though, as he's already lost both of his. He'll just be holding a flank here for a little while. Hole out, and oh man, it finds Rare. They'll be able to put a nade down there soon enough and be able to get this hatch open, unless they just want to torch it. That works as well, as DarkZero finds the frag they so desperately need.
Another contestation leads to another victory for DarkZero in the opening pick department here, as Rare knocked out here. Huge piece of the fragging puzzle down, and keep in mind too, The stats for FURIA right now are a little bit skewed once again, so Rare's been a double kill on the nades from NJR, and now already up to a triple on the round. One nade, 2 players dead, and only 2 players left in the site. Lenda can go 1 for 1, but NJR's on the cusp of an ace right now, but Hyper's gonna steal it. It doesn't matter though, because it's such a quick success from DZ. He'll be perfectly okay with that. However, NJR still walking away with a beautiful quad.
Prayed to the Siege gods for that one as it picks up 2 FURIA members, lackadaisically moving around the
He threw that one down, not up.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? That's pretty funny because we don't see that happen too often as of
Not
right
at this
now.
tournament.
Yeah, exactly. So fantastic stuff there from NJR as he will be counting his lucky stars as he seems to have quite a few of those inside of this matchup. FURIA, though, they're going to be feeling the heat now as DarkZero's within striking distance to put this into overtime. And now, where do they want to go? They're feeling as though the basement is the play yet again here. Canadian, he's bringing the Jackal back in. And this is when we've seen Canadian get real ratty. Whenever he has this op, he really likes to reinsert himself around the map and see if he can possibly find a play on somebody that is just unbeknownst to the situation. And we'll have to see what he can possibly do. Also, just as a reminder, there's a lot of soft breach over that kitchen space, so if Canadian happens to track the right person, they might just end up losing their life by some fire.
So let's see now if FURIA can yield success yet again here. Now they'll thrust themselves into the basement once more, trying to see if they can field the same amount of success on a retry for this site. We are going to see FURIA try to play out in the open, but keep in mind, guys, DZ have been dominating in the opening department here. FURIA has been abused every single time they have tried to play into an extension, and this round could very well be no exception to that. Let's see what FURIA will be doing differently this time to potentially bolster that. As once more, they sit on the cusp of a second overtime, but this time it'll be them that loses the lead to DarkZero.
NJR and DZ out and about. 20 seconds off the board now for them as this round begins here as they need to secure overtime. Torching up the CCTV wall to start us off will be Eclipse. As well, it's going to be some pretty easy beginnings so far. Definitely not as electric as we saw from the FURIA side so long ago. Some panels already being broken here for the single panel inside of construction. Also, Jacuzzi already being handled by Thermite as well. That was a job of Pambazoo. Hyper will be able to get the default cam and clear out the remainder of this with drone work as well as some fire in through this space. But oh no, they didn't drone out weights. What is going on, DarkZero? You have to be watching for this. FURIA, the entire team,
Bye-bye,
is inside of main stairs as they'll all run back down. I don't know how you blunder that hard and allow Hyper to walk through the wall, but it is what it is.
That's all they needed though, right? They've been really struggling. To be fair, with like a couple of rounds being an exception, DarkZero has still had to trade out against FURIA quite a few times to win these few rounds, but normally they've had the first kill or two go into their pocket first, and that's what's allowed them to kind of be able to waltz into these sites without too much of a concern and still be able to win those out because they already have the advantage by the time they get there. This time it's not going to be the case. It's FURIA that takes the edge on that one, and Canadian now going to be probably very confused. He sees a heck of a lot of footsteps over here by the main stairs, trying to rotate himself back down, where he'll catch Mozzie and start to ping him out to make sure that nobody tried to survive over towards the kitchen over like the meat locker or something like that if they wanted to get cheeky for a second kill.
Now here's the biggest issue. We're already down to 1 minute and 5 seconds here, and Canadian looking out towards Dirt to see if he can possibly secure a frag. Eclipse now in the moment will be end up torching the hatch open. Has to finish this up here, and then the rest of DarkZero can start pushing themselves down into sight. NJR will pre-fire secret stairs just in case somebody is in this space, but they're already all the way down inside of blue. FURIA just waiting for DarkZero to be the members to strike. This is a big issue now for DZ. This is starting to look like a FURIA map. They will propel themselves down into blue. The smoke start coming out this way. And obviously with that pre-fire, that means that obviously FURIA are getting in their path. Another nade out to be able to get rid of the Banshee and allow NJR some space to work with, but there should be a cross being held down low, and yes indeed, it'll be held by Highs. NJR will now see him as we enter the last 15 seconds. Somebody has to do something, folks, and it'll be Pambazoo and NJR to start us off. They need to keep going though. Rare, no nitro cell on him. It's all via gunfire. Canadian takes him down. He needs to pick up the case, and it starts now. Can they prevent it? Lenda pushing forward. Miracle goes down. Lenda in behind. Can Canadian secure it? He does. Nitro sell out, and it gets basically everyone. It's down to Canadian. He's in behind Dummy's box.
There he is.
Secure this, and Lenda gets it done. FURIA secures Clubhouse, and we're going to map 3.
Lenda with an absolutely massive clutch, working his way through pretty much the entire DZ roster. A Hail Mary Nitro. He knew what he needed to accomplish. He knew he needed to get the swing out into the open. If he could stop the plant, that would have won the round there. But knocking out 2